When I was growing up, there were two common phrases that I'd hear in my house. The first was, when I win the lottery. So when I win the lottery, I'll buy a huge house, an awesome car, or the new Thunderbirds toy. The second phrase I'd hear a lot is, if I had the time. With the lottery, we said it with certainty, like when I win. But with time, it was if I had, as if one day we'll be lucky enough to be given all of this time. But the odds of actually winning the lottery? 14 million to 1. So not great. No big house, no Thunderbirds toy. But the truth is, we've already beaten much greater odds than a measly 14 million to 1. The odds of you being born? 400 trillion to 1. That's the odds you've beaten to be you. That's like winning the lottery 28 million times in a row, or flipping a coin 30,000 times and it landing like this. I'd lose my mind if that happened once, like never mind 30,000 times. So now that we have all of this time, how do we spend it? Well, we spend most of it saying we don't have enough of it. And we talk about it constantly. Even the word time is the most common noun in the English language. I don't have the time. This is what I'd used to hear a lot, and most commonly from myself. But this is also one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves. We do have a lot of time, quite a lot of it. We have time to do incredible things. We have the same time in a day as Shakespeare, Einstein, David Hasselhoff, J.K. Rowling, Gandhi's grandson. We all get given the same 24 hours in a day, 24 coins, and we get to choose how to spend them. We get told the most important thing we can trade our time for is money, like the hustle culture, always aiming for a larger salary than last year. But we don't always consider the conversion rate. Is it actually a good trade? Money comes and goes, and if you get yourself into financial debt, you can recover from that. But time is the only non-refundable currency that we have. So I wanted to see what it'd be like to start using time as a primary currency and not money. So to do this, I get a Post-it note. And when I want a new product, I'll write what I want that thing to do. So for a mobile phone, I want it to call, I want it to text, I want it to go on Instagram. So let's look at the options. When I wanted a new phone, the iPhone X just came out, and it's just over £1,000, plus contracts. And then here we have a second-hand Samsung Note 4 for £150. But let's get rid of money completely, and let's just look at the cost in time. Say your yearly salary is £30,000. It's going to cost you 10 hours to get this phone. So a Monday and a chew of a working life. The iPhone, however, is going to cost you pretty much 2 full weeks of a working life. So yes, the iPhone might have some advantages, but when I look back to my Post-it note, the Samsung does everything that I want it to do, plus I get an extra week and a half of life and time to spend how I want. So have a think about the last big purchase you made, whether it's a house, a holiday, or even a car. Divide that by your salary and ask yourself, was it worth your time? Don't think about the price tag, think about the time tag. Probably my biggest purchase was my college degree. So for me to go to college and university, that was a lot of time. Like, that is a lot of Mondays and Tuesdays. To give to go to college for 7 years and to pay off that debt. When I left school, I pretty much left with all E's and F's and not the best grades. And I was lost without passion or purpose, and I didn't know what to do. So I followed the highest grade that I got, which was a D in a hat. So not the best grades. And I drifted around college for 5 years, just barely passing my courses, and I nearly failed my 5th year, until my teacher at the time, Jim Millington, brought in his son Rob, who gave a talk on animation, and instantly I was hooked. I found that passion and that drive, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. So yes, that was a lot of Mondays and Tuesdays to give to go to college and university, but it was definitely worth it just to get that spark alone. I now left college with a first-class degree, and I felt happy and motivated in the career that I'd chosen. But I still didn't feel fulfilled with how I was spending my time. So I laid out my 24 coins, my 24 hours, and I wanted to see how I was spending them. And I found myself in a common situation where I filled mine with things like sleeping for 8 hours, the 9-to-5 job, the overtime, the commute, watching the latest Netflix series that everyone's watching. And yes, I'd made some choices, but within a framework given to me. So I got to choose what 9-to-5 it was, but it had to be a 9-to-5. I got to choose TV, laptop, or a mobile, but I'd always end up staring at a screen. Like, you get the idea. After living this life for 4 years, I felt like time had been taken away from me, and I couldn't identify what I was getting in return. And the harder I worked to get myself out of this situation, the more I became ingrained in it. So after taking a step back, I knew I wanted to redesign my time template. But how? As a designer, when I'm working on a new project, whether that's a logo or a 3D interior or an animation, I use a simple process, which is define, framing, and action. Using this process gives intention and structure to every project that I work on. So I figured, why not use this tool to redesign my life and my time? So the first thing I needed to do is to define what I wanted to spend my time on. So you have to try new things. So I tried traveling. I tried reading new books. I tried going to the gym. I tried lots of things out. And as you probably can tell, I didn't make much of a dent in the bodybuilding industry. But that's OK. On the journey to find things we love, we'll also find things that we don't. The aim is not to find something that we're great at, but something that we want to be great at, and something that we're willing to sacrifice and spend our time on. And that's the key point. We can't spend our time on everything. I got inspired by Warren Buffett's 5-25 rule, which states you write down 25 things that you want, put them in order, circle the top 5, and then avoid the rest at all costs, because we can't spend our time on everything. I used to love playing computer games and buying the latest tech gadgets, but these weren't at the top of my list, so these were just a few of the things that I had to sacrifice. So the 2 things that I wanted were location independence and financial freedom. So to travel where I wanted and not to worry about money. So I'm now move on to framing. So to get a good body, you need to convert time to working out correctly and eating right. For me to get location independence, I couldn't afford to have lots of material possessions. I couldn't afford to have a permanent address. For me to have financial freedom, I needed to find out the minimum I'd need to live a comfortable life by my standards. And then the third stage, probably the hardest for most of us, is action, just doing it. So for my location independence, I couldn't afford to have lots of material possessions, so this is everything that I've owned for the past 2 years. Or to put it another way, this is everything that I own. I used to think that there were just 2 options of buying or renting a house for accommodation. When I started traveling, I found so many different ways of living. So Airbnbs, hotels, hostels, couch surfing, workaways, many more. Even like the tiny house movement or shipping container homes. I'm even in the process at the moment of creating my own shipping container home that I'm aiming to keep under £10,000. Then I don't have to give 15 to 25 years of my life and my time to pay off a mortgage. Which leads me on to my next point, financial freedom. For me to become financially free, I needed to create a passive income. So I create design tutorials on YouTube, showing people how to use Adobe Photoshop, After Effects, and Cinema 4D. And yes, they may take a while to create, but it'll continue to generate money for me whilst I'm on the road. I now know that I need to earn £25,000 a year to live a comfortable life. Once I earn that, I stop converting my time to money and only work on personal projects or things I don't have to get paid to do. So if we look at my chart now, it turns out I do have the time. Last year, I chose to convert 4 months of my life to earn £25,000. But I had to give the last decade in the industry to get my day rate up to that, which again, was worth the time to do that. But maybe your time to money conversion rate is higher or lower than mine. Maybe you're a parent. Maybe you need more or less sleep than I do. But we all get given the same 24 coins every day when we wake up. I'm not here to tell you to stop watching Netflix or to stop sleeping in till 10 a.m. Sleep until 3 in the afternoon if you want, like sometimes I do. I can't tell you how to spend your time. You get to choose how to do that. And you need to choose and live intentionally. And if you don't, you'll likely end up in a default time template that we've all been taught and that I was stuck in at the beginning of this journey. Now that I'm in charge of my 24 coins, life got cheaper. I was able to travel 200 miles on a bus and a train for £1.50. I was able to fly all the way from London to the south of France and back again for less than £10, using no special tricks, no travel points or anything like that, just simply because I was in charge of my own time. Now that I'm in charge of my time, I'm in charge of my life. The most important thing to do is to take action now. There will always be hurdles that look too daunting to overcome until we pass them. And we're never ready at the start. That's why it's called the start. I'm not even ready to do this TED Talk, but here I am. It's all about taking opportunities and taking action. If you know you want to start a new business, save a business plan on your phone like right now and work on that this evening. If you know you want a good body, like stand up and do 10 squats right now. It's all about taking one hurdle at a time and taking action, or saying, this is not a priority for me to spend my time on, and not, I don't have the time. Thank you for spending your time with me today.